are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, all of you beautiful humans. Welcome to Soul Wanderings. It's Wednesday night. I love being here on Wednesday nights, of course. I'm here hanging out with all of you once again. Thank you for showing up. I'm so happy to have you here. If you're new to Soul Wanderings and want to know more about me, AJ, your host, or the show Soul Wanderings, then I highly recommend you go to one of two places, if not both. You can visit kgradb.com, which is where this show is hosted on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, or visit soulwanderings.com. Either of those places, you'll get to know a little bit more about me. If you're ever interested in being a guest or would like to share anything with me, because I have amazing listeners who reach out to me all of the time. I love it. I love your interaction. Email me at connect@soulwanderings.com. It's a good place to get a hold of me. And I do reply. I love hearing from you, like I said. See, my producer. She's so awesome. Let's give a shout out to Chanel. She's going to keep us all in touch. So if you're hanging out with us on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Facebook or YouTube page, we're live on video. You'll be able to see some banners pulsing up. And tonight's the night you'll want to be on there. We'll vocalize, but we will also share visually some really great information and offerings that our guest wants to share with all of you tonight. And because our guest does have so much to share, we're going to jump right into it. We have a return guest tonight. Wendy Rose Williams is our guest. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because she joined us on episode 199, which I believe aired, it was like a little over a year ago, within the last year. So to get you reacquainted, Wendy has had 2 NDEs, near-death experiences, in a week in August of 1997. And she was 10 weeks pregnant and lost an estimated 3/4 amount of her blood supply when she had an aorta burst. And she met angels for the first time that helped save her life and also explained things to her and said they would be very hard until she got her life path and fulfilled her purpose, which, by the way, she shared in detail on that previous episode. So if you haven't heard that episode or want a refresher, go and check it out. You can do that on kgradb.com or soulwanderings.com. But since then, Wendy has been up to all kinds of things that are fascinating, and she'll be sharing with us tonight what her experiences have been like ever since. So let's welcome back to the show, Wendy Rose Williams. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, AJ. It's so great to see you again and speak with you again. Thank you for having me as your guest.
I'm so glad that you reached out and shared with me the new project that you have created and the things that you're up to. That makes me so happy when I hear back from guests who are like, I did something new and I want to share with all of your listeners. So thank you for putting yourself out there and being available to us to share what your experiences are and have been.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure.
You haven't changed a bit. You look just as beautiful as ever.
Well, thank you.
On episode 199, I went and had a refresher of it because I hadn't heard it for a moment, just to make sure we weren't doing a duplicate episode, right? You shared so much with us about how your journey began through your NDEs and and how you began a spiritual practice, a meditation practice, and you dove deep into past life regression, which I've always found so fascinating because it's one thing to get an Akashic reading done and have someone tell you what your past lives are. But with past life regression, you're the one that's actually sharing your past life experiences. And so that feels more real and tangible for me personally. And I have found your books to be so fascinating and so detailed how you've remembered and were able to share so much information about your past lives. And you've recorded over 100 of them easily. Is that right?
I have recalled more than 100, yes. And it's not about how many, it's not a contest. It's not like there's this perfect number that we need to remember and then it's all done. It's just how much past life energy is there to release that would help us in our life today. And there also can be forgotten abilities and just cool things that you started previously that you can work with more now. So it's bringing those forward also.
I love that you brought that up, the way that you're able to uh, currently work on experiences that happened in your past so that you can do the healing, that all of that healing work and closing up contracts and things like that.
Absolutely. And just mastering lessons. I mean, things like forgiveness. It's not like we have one lifetime. It's like, oh, I've got it. It's too deep. It's too complex. It's too multifaceted. So we've got to go through many, many experiences to be able to really master forgiveness. And typically the last part of it that comes is self-forgiveness,
Yeah.
because many of us can forgive a dear friend, or someone else that we care about. We can forgive those things that feel like, it's just a more of a slight transgression. It just doesn't, because there's been so many deposits in the bank, with those type of people. When there's a little withdrawal, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And we know that energy flows both ways. And all of a sudden we're like half an hour late to dinner with them, and we know they'll forgive us because it was not intended and it's unusual, etc. So, but that self-forgiveness, it's a big deal. I think it's why my first two books, the theme really was forgiveness. And I didn't realize that was going to be the theme. And the theme of the third book of Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn, is self-forgiveness. So
Oh, that is the thing. First of all, thank goodness we don't have to learn it all in one lifetime, because one lifetime is challenging enough. If we compacted all of those experiences from every life in one life, it wouldn't be a life. It'd be a lot of work.
right. It just, I just don't think it's possible. It will be too much.
And then as far as self-forgiveness goes, you're right. I feel like so many of us are focused on forgiving others, feeling that's part of the journey, which it is. Mm-hmm. But you having an NDE and have been on the other side of things, and I've had my own experiences, that was a thing. But the biggest thing when it was played out for me was getting to a point of truly loving and accepting myself as my soul of who I am, and forgiving myself for the things that I have not done, that I've not forgiven myself for. Those were really big messages. And it never occurred, like, why would I forgive myself? And I've heard that, not like, some people who have had NDEs have had experiences where their life has played out before them, and they refer to hell as their experiences that they have not forgiven themselves for. And so it's so important to realize that is part of the journey on so many levels. And I'm thankful that you brought that up.
Yes, yes, because a few people do have those very unpleasant, even hellish types of NDEs. I think the estimate is somewhere around 15%. But it's important to realize we create these realities, and that's us punishing ourselves because we have not forgiven ourselves and we think that's what we deserve. And the way people describe, for instance, Howard Storm describes it so well with his hellish NDE, was the moment we let go and say, oh my God, oh my gosh, please help me. This is just, no one deserves this. I don't deserve this. No one deserves this. And people are then just lifted out of those. So it's analogous to the people who stay behind as ghosts and don't go home to the light after a lifetime because they think they're just overly fixated on what happened, and they're still waiting for something to happen or trying to make something happen, or just experiencing those really human emotions of jealousy or anger or confusion. And they're not looking up. They're not realizing the light is there. Just look around you and go up to the light. And then you can understand everything. You can heal at home and just understand and sort out what really happened, versus getting stuck in that lower vibrational energy of being a ghost and just getting more and more and more depleted.
If I remember correctly, one of your lifetimes, you did decide to stay back and be in that energy.
I did. I did. In my second book, in the Flow One Plymouth Plantation, that's what I did. And it was so shocking to learn about myself. I first saw this ghost back in, it would have been 1989, 1990, when my former husband and I purchased this home in Massachusetts, not too far from Plymouth Plantation, where some of the original settlers came to America. And it took me 20 years. I did not realize until 2013, because we just grow. We just grow spiritually, and we have more experiences, and we grow energetically to put the pieces together. And all of a sudden, I had this experience, and a friend actually told me, and she told me what was going on because my ghost from colonial America visited her and was super dramatic at like midnight and wouldn't leave her house and was just emanating all this heartbreak to her. And my girlfriend recognized, oh my gosh, that's Wendy, and she needs to knock it off. And she told me what was going on and that we had been together in that lifetime in colonial America. So I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to take responsibility for myself here. And I at first didn't know what to do, but did over time learn and realize I needed to do a soul retrieval. And what I had not done, I had not forgiven the man that I thought I was going to marry. And when he ghosted me, pun intended, and disappeared when I was in my late teens, after saying, I'll be back for you, I took that literally. And so when we didn't re-meet again, and here I pass on in my 60s, I think, well, I'm not supposed to go up to the light because he said he'd be back for me. So talk about abdicating your power. Come on, let's be responsible for ourselves. We've got to be in our own power.
Right, right. I think it's really neat and quite fascinating that you, as Wendy Rose Williams today, are able to go back to that time and rectify that energy and allow yourself to move forward.
It was a big deal. And so many people tell me that after they have a past life regression session, or after we have whatever type of meaningful healing session. It can also be a significant dream. It can be a meditation with our guides, whatever it is. There's so many opportunities for us to up level. But just, I felt once I did that soul retrieval, I felt so much better. I felt so much more like myself. I didn't feel so scattered and just so triggered. So it was really a big deal.
Yeah, I would imagine so, especially if it was affecting you in this current time. We did get a little ahead of ourselves, and I don't want to make an assumption everybody heard episode 199 where you visited us for the first time. So let me have you share a little bit about yourself and in Cliff Notes, because there's so much to you. We could do a whole
Certainly.
show. In fact, we did all about you and your experiences. But like share a little bit about yourself with us so that
Certainly.
the new
Well,
listeners get a feel for who you are and why you're going to be spending time with us tonight.
absolutely. Well, I'm a past life energy healer, and I love to help people release that energy that is not serving them anymore. Anxiety, depression, chronic pain, both physical and emotional pain. And I had the good fortune to train with Dr. Brian Weiss, who wrote Many Lives, Many Masters. And what I offer is a process that's really grounded in hypnotherapy so that people are able to relax and to visualize and just let go of that energy that's not serving them anymore during their session with me. And again, we can also bring in those amazing abilities and things that we started doing before and know how to do. For instance, writers. Most people who are writers in this lifetime have been scribes, have been journalists, have been some sort of writer before. So we can bring that knowledge back.
Oh, that's so neat. I always say fascinating when it comes to the stories that you share. I remember saying it before, and here I am saying it again. And I'm not sure if it's just because it's so challenging for me to wrap my head around. Not that I don't believe it, because I definitely do, but it is such a big thing to comprehend and wrap your head around, especially if you don't believe it. Where I do believe it, I still like, how is this possible? What are your feelings about it? How do you feel like it's possible for us to um, receive this information of our past lives so that we can use it in our current life for a better uh,
A
a
better experience, a better
I
life
want to
now.
say better experience, but I stop myself from saying better because it's not like it's bad. But for a lack of better word, yes.
Mhm, mhm. Well, my belief is everyone has a book of life in this place of all knowledge. Many call it the Akashic Records,
Yeah.
and that's just a big deal to be able to help people find their book of life during their session. And a lot of people say that was their favorite moment and that they just like breathe a sigh of relief to see this huge, beautiful book. And many people say it's glowing and there's all this light coming up from it, or that they can see the gold edged pages. And a couple people just have made me laugh and they're like, oh my goodness, it's quite a tome. It's just this huge, huge book. But when we realize that we've had all these lives and all these experiences, and we can draw from them as well as heal from the experiences and the different things that have happened. A lot of people say, "Oh, wow, the perfectionism dropped away." The beating myself up dropped away. I can just really forgive myself and know that there's just so many amazing chapters in this book. So that's a beautiful moment for a lot of people.
I would imagine so. I personally have not seen mine, but I've had a different experience that was similar, just not in a book form.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I I love that this is something that you did, but this wasn't something that you were interested in or were always drawn to your entire life. What was the catapult for you that brought you down this path?
Yes, the catalyst of all the funny things was Match.com. I matched with the gentleman who had the soul contract to wake me up spiritually when I was 49 years old. This was not why I went on Match. I went on Match to meet a nice guy to date. And what did I get? I got this is not in Match's fine print of things we help you with. And so it's just so humorous. And what he had written as the last line in his profile, and when I saw his profile, when I first saw his picture and started reading the profile, I just had this incredible deep sense of I know you, I know you, I know you. And that's where it started from. And the last sentence that he put in that profile was any woman on a spiritual path, particularly one interested in a life between lives, we have to meet. So I'm then like scratching my head, what's an LBL? So I'm Googling to make sure it's not some funky, unwanted drug reference or something like that I'm not going to be interested in. And what I found immediately was Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, his amazing book, and the Life Between Lives sessions that he created, which is a type of a past life regression, but you're spending much more time on the other side at home, up with the light during these 4-hour plus sessions of a spiritual regression. And so this was what I said yes to when I met this man.
That's a big yes. You went through a lot in that relationship, as I recall you sharing it with us before in more detail.
I did. In summary, we had this incredible, intense, amazing, fun, uplifting relationship at the start. The communication was unparalleled. We just finished each other's sentences. There was just such a deep knowing of one another. And it took us 8 years to figure out that's because there had been 21 shared lives together. So he ended the romance when we'd been dating for about 13 months. And I was heartbroken in a way that just didn't make sense to me. And I just couldn't seem to find a way to recover because I didn't know at that time the depth of the past life history, nor did I understand the soul contracts that we had. I had figured out he was meant to wake me up spiritually. That was very clear, and that was fantastic. That was wonderful. I was ready, and that was great. But over time, after we were no longer dating for a couple of years, I realized as I got more and more on my path with what I was meant to be doing, that another contract we had was for him to break my heart repeatedly until I stepped in my power fully without abusing it. And that was it's a brilliant contract, but it's obviously very painful too, to have your heart broken repeatedly. So I had to stand up for myself. I had to realize this is not okay. It is not okay to be in love with a man where you're going to continually be hurt. This is not good for me. This is not appropriate for me. And I need to find a way to really stand up for myself and pull my energy back so that my heart is not being offered to him on a platter, because that's not appropriate. Right. We should be rising in love, yet the common expression is we fall in love. Well, fall in love doesn't have to mean we give away our power and lose our common sense and just become blithering idiots. Let's rise in love together.
Yes, I love that so much. That is a great way to look at it.
So
the pain it's necessary on some levels, definitely, but repeatedly that's just silly, right? We're so good at putting ourselves through so much pain. That's unnecessary.
Correct. And that grind just doesn't need to be there. There's other ways. There's other ways to learn. So what we did was we agreed romance is 1000% off the table. Done, done, done. Even though there was still a lot of attraction, we just agreed that's done. And I developed some really pristine boundaries, which was we're going to meet out in public for coffee. Like, can we be more boring with this? There's going to be no late night cocktails going on. There's going to be no at either each other's houses, etc. So I had to put in new boundaries around it. Mm-hmm. What we did, we lifted up and we became spiritual seekers together. And that was what was needed. And we fulfilled the different contracts together, just not in ways I'd expected. Right. Because I also found the contract that we were meant to help others with their spirituality. We were meant to do radio together. We were meant to write books together. And I thought that meant literally both of us, together working on the one project. But instead, I helped him get published, and then he helped me get published. So it just went back and forth with our own separate books. Mm-hmm. And he helped coach me because I was petrified of public speaking, and he was a sportscaster on television. So of all the perfect people to be able to coach me, it really was helpful. And he just got me over that incredible. There was a lot of past life energy I had around public speaking, mm-hmm. specifically where you could not see the audience, i.e. radio. Right. And television, visual media too. I was always fine in person, whether it was small groups, large groups. I did outside sales for 30 years. So it really surprised me to then trip over this in such a big way, to be so just petrified of speaking about spirituality when I couldn't see the audience. So that was a lot of past life energy that came up where that had not gone well, and had been imprisoned, had been beheaded, just not nice outcomes.
Right. Definitely not nice outcomes.
That's the kind of energy you have to release.
Now you're a professional. The books you do on audio are just, they're clear as can be. You're articulate. You're well-spoken. You do a fantastic job. And we still get another hour and a half to wander with you. We're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we'll continue our journey with you.
Wonderful.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Scrolling all day, time can disappear. Wanna make it count? Why not volunteer?
Posting pics of your food, that takes up time. Time, you've got time to binge all of season 9, though it got so bad.
Time, you got time. We're gonna grow back and be the same browse you had.
Just a few hours to keep families from harm. Help us end home fires with Sound the Alarm.
Volunteer for a day to install free smoke alarms in your community.
Discover the Observation Deck, a one-of-a-kind virtual event platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus. There's so many areas and activities to choose from. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, an expo hall, a nightclub, and even a beach. So come attend a conference, take a class, or hear a lecture on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Go to theobservationdk.com.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back. I am AJ, your host, and tonight we are hanging out with Wendy Rose Williams. And you can learn more about Wendy by going to wendyrosewilliams.com. Super easy. Welcome back to the show, Wendy.
Oh, thank you, AJ.
I appreciate the breaks. They do us a service, but I never want to stop. I just want to keep going. And I know I cut you off abruptly. I apologize for that.
No worries.
Got to pay those dues. You have had many awarenesses come to you of your past lives, many experiences where you know quite a few of your past lives. So you know the things that occurred. And I'm curious on how it's affected you as a human here and now. Like, how has it changed your relationships? How's it changed your life in whole because of the healing that has occurred because of the awareness that has been brought to you?
Oh, what a fantastic question. Becoming aware of my past lives, I learned about the first two in 2011, so 11 years ago now, changed everything. That very first past life regression that I went to with a Newton therapist, it lasted 2 hours. And honestly, the bigger deal than learning about the two past lives that came through, which I was so amazed by because I didn't know if I'd be able to vision anything because I had no spiritual practice, didn't meditate, very left-brained. I'm an MBA. So I was not like this perfect, easy, typical great client. But I released a lifetime of anxiety. And to let go of that in 2 short hours, that changed everything. And then what started to happen as I learned about more and more and more of my past lives, it just lightened up my energy. It's like I have so much, it like brought out my natural sense of humor and fun and joy in such a different way, because I didn't feel like the weight of this perfectionism or just worrying so much about what are other people gonna think, which you read a lot. You probably got quite tired of that phrase in regression healing too, Joe and Meryl and AJ, because you could see what a big deal that was to let go of that for me. So it's honestly, it's changed everything. It makes me see other people with more kindness, more ease and grace. I just more appreciate people and everyone else's journey too, because we have all been saints and sinners. So just understanding that, I just have a lot of empathy for the human condition. I think we're all incredibly brave to be here and are privileged to be here at this pivotal time, but that does not make it easy.
No.
But we're all here for a reason. And I think that's to uplift each other and to just really help one another and help the animals and help the earth.
You feel like that's our reason that we were called to be here at this time? Just to really help each other and the planet and animals?
I think it's unique to each person. I was speaking for myself there. I think each person's got a unique reason why they incarnated, but I do think the light workers, the love workers, whatever number of us are here, do often feel that calling of really wanting to help others, and that's how we can overcome the shyness, not wanting to speak publicly, and just really wondering, oh my goodness, should I be saying something? So I think that the test is, does it feel loving? Does it feel like it's going to be kind? And can you trial balloon it? My guides had to work with me in the beginning because I was so excited about opening up spiritually when that started happening in 2011, 2010, 2011, 2012. My guides made fun of me gently once I learned how to meditate. And they said, my gosh, Wendy, you're like a Clydesdale. You're like knocking people over. With just all this talk about past lives and just more ask them a respectful question and find out if they're even interested or open to the conversation before you knock them over. So I thought that was so funny when they showed me the Clydesdale.
Yeah. They're like, just take it a little easier. They're like,
yeah.
Before your experiences, were you spiritual, or did you even believe in angels or guides or anything like that?
I was a casual Christian would be the best description. I did believe in God. I did believe that Yeshua was his son. I did believe Mother Mary had a virgin birth, but that was about as far as it went. I wanted and hoped that angels were real, but it felt very abstract for me, like a lovely thought and possibility. Right. It seemed more like, these beautiful beings on Christmas cards and in art, etc. And it didn't go a lot further than that. Before my spiritual awakening started with Match.com.
I get a kick out of that.
It's just so ridiculous. Before that started at age 49, I just was this really super busy, conservative, working mother, single mother who worked in healthcare and had two beautiful daughters, had been divorced since they were 6 and 8, and was just super busy with my children, with working full time, with my home and my property and my animals. And there just it didn't feel like there was room for a lot more. So it was such a change. It was such an epiphany. It was such an opening of my world, and realizing, wow, this is what I was missing and did not know I was missing.
Isn't it neat how we're just going along with life thinking that we have it figured out, or we're working on figuring it out, and we have a certain belief system or we don't, and then one experience can literally alter the course of our direction.
Yes. I mean, near-death experiences do that for so many people, or other spiritually transformative experiences. And, other people come in and they're just pretty amazingly connected and don't lose that connection, because I believe we're all still very connected to the other side as babies and as young children. But that starts to go away, typically between the ages of 5 and 8, because we get into the school systems and
we get into the conditioning process.
Right. And it's not acceptable. And our parents might even coach us, honey, I know you think you've got that imaginary friend, or you think you've got that cool angel, or that cool big lion that's always with you, but kids might make fun of you, or we have some of those experiences. Because kids, obviously, as wonderful as they are, don't have the best social skills necessarily between, those young ages. It's like, whoo, it's kind of a free-for-all.
Right.
Those first couple years in school. So we get socialized.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. And I know for me personally, it was like that most of my life. It wasn't until, 10, 12 years ago that I even began my journey, my spiritual journey. I was just kind of numb and on autopilot and just doing what I was told to do because it was the right thing to do, right? And so having the experience that I had was, I always refer to it as a miracle.
What was that turning point for you, AJ? What was that miracle point?
It was an NDE for me also.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't know what that was at the time. That's something I learned along the way. Like, oh, that's what happened to me, because I had so many questions and no one could answer them for me. And you start having people come across your path that wouldn't have come before that. Right. And so they're sharing their experiences in their life, and you're able to, oh, okay, so this is making sense to me now. And then you find a way to meet with people who are more experienced and able to assist you, just like the things that you do. And energy healer after whatever practitioner that I went to seeking out what happened to me. I know it wasn't just a dream. I know this happened to me. I have a completely different belief system now. Like it was so real. There was no way
realer than real.
Yeah. There was no way I could just shoo it away. And then I just had to know. So I was before, just like I said, just kind of la 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 along the way, and into someone who was asking a lot of questions, and not questions I ever would have thought to ask before, because I had to know what happened to me.
Yes.
And
you became a seeker.
Yeah. And it was really fascinating and really neat. And I'm sure that you had the same experience. You had experiences before this. You just didn't understand or comprehend or whatever that looked like before, but they were signs that you were ignoring. And I feel like I had to have something massive, like shake me awake, if you will.
Shake you to wake you. Yes.
Because I was supposed to be on this path that I'm on now, and I wasn't anywhere near this path. Trust me.
I think our guides give us gentle experiences, and there's opportunities. Yeah. But if we keep missing them or not taking the path and not getting on what's meant to be our life path, then you get the big one. You get the near-death experience, or you get the other trauma. For some people, it's losing a loved one. Suddenly turns a materialist, scientifically minded type person suddenly becomes softer and just more wants to be able to hope and believe that there's a bigger truth and a bigger reality, and that consciousness does live on, whether you call it the soul, the higher self, the consciousness, what energy, whatever term you're using, depending on your belief system. Right. That might be it for other people. That's the wake up for many people, is losing a beloved family member or spouse or child.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, having the experiences that I've had, and now owning and operating my own healing center, I have heard all kinds of stories through the show, through the shop, through everything. I'm never surprised anymore. I'm always in awe, like, I cannot believe this, but I'm never surprised anymore. And I actually believe these people, where before I would have been like, oh, I want what you're on, because that sounds awesome. Right? It's
right.
so neat. And how I explained earlier.
So fantastical.
It is. And I use that word a lot. I love that word, fantastical. But how I was asking you or mentioning to you earlier, how I keep saying, this is so fascinating. This is so fascinating. I can't get enough of this topic. And the more I hear other people's experiences, and then like yours, like what you've shared and their past life experiences, the more I want to know. I just can't get enough. I want to consume it all. I want to hear everybody's story. It's just so neat to me that the veil is so thin, and
It
we have
is.
no idea until we have an idea, right?
It's thinning all the time. And I think that's allowing us to understand ourselves better and better and better. And that's not meant, it's not about being selfish or self-absorbed. It's understanding ourselves as a spark of the divine.
Yeah.
And just that soul expression.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like you, AJ. I am never, ever bored by hearing people's past life experiences. It's such an honor to get to facilitate them, because they're always different. They're always unique and perfect to that person. And seeing how they then connect the dots over those much earlier experiences, as you said, that didn't really register or might not have made sense at the time, or might have been just really puzzling. All of a sudden it's like, boom, boom, boom. It's like you got the frame in on this 1,000-piece puzzle. And once you've got the frame, it's like the pieces start to go in. Because before you have that, you're like, oh my gosh, how is this thing ever going to come together?
Yes, great analogy. Yes, I love that. That's exactly how it feels like for me too. And my puzzle is so big. Everyone has a huge puzzle, right? And we're all just trying to put these pieces together. And I don't know if I ever want to complete the puzzle, because I don't want it to end. Like the feeling, the excitement of learning more and experiencing more. Like I literally can't get enough of it. I enjoy it so much, even the hard stuff, because at the end of it, I'm like, whew, I'm kind of a badass right now. I just really big. Like,
that's perfect. Because you're going through some real different
Right.
experiences and spiritual experiences and epiphanies. My guides taught me a really neat little exercise to do recently. They had me get a kaleidoscope. So picture having this cool little kaleidoscope from when you were a child, perhaps. And what they told me was to just look in it. And if I'm feeling tense or worried or upset, to remember, no matter how you turn that kaleidoscope, with that kaleidoscope being your life and your experiences, whatever you see through that kaleidoscope, it's always beautiful. You don't know where those pieces are going to fall, but they fall together perfectly, and the colors just combine and the patterns. So anybody just struggling with like, oh, how do I let go? Get yourself a kaleidoscope for $3.
Right? That is such a great idea. Yes, get a kaleidoscope. What a great idea. I have learned through hard experiences, connecting to my breath has been the biggest help for me, because it brings me to the now. It brings me here in the moment.
Yes.
Well, and how would you know that before? We take our breath for granted so much that we don't understand the power that it holds for us, not just to help keep us alive, but the connection to breath, and how you literally can center and ground yourself in seconds.
Absolutely. And it is literally that breath of life. And it's also why, if we're around electronics a lot, we're sitting and working with the computer a lot, your energy, it's all going in your bottom. It's just, you've got to get up and move and breathe and just move around. And I think that is a big part of, I had chronic pain for decades, and it was a big journey to release that physical pain. Because it was exhausting. It just pulled me down. There were just so many downsides to it. And of all the interesting ways, how it finally released was I started fostering dogs. And I had to get up and move and just trust I'm going to be able to take care of this dog. It's going to be for a couple weeks. I'm going to be that safe landing spot for it. It's going to be saved from the kill shelter. I'm going to provide a great home for it until it matches with its adoptive home. I can do this. It's just for a couple weeks. But that first dog that I fostered, she loved to walk, and it was kind of the best thing I could do with her. And I think we walked 44 miles in the 18 days that I had her, because I happened to have a pedometer on my phone because I was consciously working to be moving more. But I'd had such trouble moving because it kicked off all this back pain and hip pain. So I was being pretty careful about how I moved. So I selected the dog carefully. I'm like, okay, this looks like about a 30-pound dog. I don't think I can handle this big untrained dog, like yanking me all over the place until I learn how to, get it walking on leash well. So I carefully chose a smaller dog, and that made a huge difference. And then I stepped to the plate with not one, but 2 puppies. And I was questioning my sanity at that point.
No way. There's no way.
And same thing. I knew puppies placed quickly, and it was summertime. It was last July. And I'm like, I'm just going to go for this. I'm going to figure it out. I know I've got great support through the dog rescue, and they will help me. And I read through that manual a couple times of the suggestions of what to do, and I prepared the best I could. And the surprise was I'd agreed to foster one puppy, and there ended up not being a home for his sister. And they were very young and very little. And the rescue wisely said, gosh, Wendy, they'll do better with the 2 of them together. They'll sleep better at night, and you'll be able to sleep better if you've got, the 2 of them together. So I took these little 3-month-old puppies. And one of them, when Johnny Cash got adopted, they were named Johnny and June Cash.
Oh, I love that.
When Johnny was adopted, the minute I heard that and realized that on day 7, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't let June go anywhere. And I'm like, oh, that's not her name. Oh my gosh, this is my dog. Oh my gosh, she's Henley. And I talked with my daughter, who's 3rd year of vet school, and I contacted the rescue and said, may I put it in an application for her? Because I would love to be considered. Can I be her best home? So she just turned 1 and has just been such an important part of my physical healing journey. So you just never know where it's going to come from. Just be open.
Yeah, you do. You don't, right? You just never know. Never know. It really is so cool how people, places, and things just come on to your path even when you least expect it, and teach you the biggest lessons and give you the biggest experiences. It's just beautiful. Life is just beautiful. I just am so thankful for all of it. We're going to be talking in the second hour about your 3rd book, Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn, which took you 5 years to write. And
that's a lot of energy to release.
It's a lot. But I love that it is about forgiving yourself. I love that that's the direction it went, because the other books are a little bit different. And when we get back, we'll dive deep into this new publication that you have and share some offerings for our listeners. So if you guys are hanging out with us on YouTube and Facebook, awesome. Thank you for being there. Get ready, grab your pen and paper so you can write down this information. And if not, we'll definitely share it vocally as well. But stay close. We'll be right back to share more with you just after this short break.
Hey members, The new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Scrolling all day, time can disappear. Wanna make it count? Why not volunteer?
Posting pics of your food, that takes up time. Time, you've got time to binge all of season 9, though it got so bad.
Time, you got time. We're gonna grow back and be the same browse you had.
Just a few hours to keep families from harm. Help us end home fires with Sound the Alarm.
Volunteer for a day to install free smoke alarms in your community.
Discover the Observation Deck, a one-of-a-kind virtual event platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus. There's so many areas and activities to choose from. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, an expo hall, a nightclub, and even a beach. So come attend a conference, take a class, or hear a lecture on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Go to theobservationdk.com.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
Hi, Wanderers. Welcome back. You are hanging out with me, AJ, and Wendy Rose Williams, our guest. We're on kgradb.com. And if you're a member, awesome. Thank you for the support. The station and myself appreciate you so much. We couldn't do this without you, the listeners. You make all of the difference. It'd be really weird if we were just hanging out here talking to ourselves. So thanks for the support. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't picked up your membership yet, I can offer you 30% off your annual membership if you use the code SOUL21, SOUL 21. You could head over to soulwanderings.com to grab that code if you didn't have time to get it just now. And also, there are, I don't know how many shows right now. Bill has been busy. There are so many shows on KGRA, not just mine, but they're all fantastic. I have even been checking them all out when they are live and hanging out in the chat room with all of you because it's fun. And I like getting to know the other hosts and what they're all about and being able to support them. And it's so good to see you all there supporting them too. So thanks. Thanks for being part of the KGRA family. Tonight, like I said, we're hanging out with Wendy Rose Williams. And she obviously is an author because we're talking about her books. And she's had a couple of near-death experiences that she shared with us in more detail on episode 199. She's also been able to heal drastically. Like, she's had a lot of experiences in her healing journey because she's been able to connect to these past life experiences. And then the books share all about them. So, Wendy, let's just go over book 1 and 2 really quickly, like what they're about, so then we can head into the third.
Absolutely.
So your first book?
Regression Healing 1, The Huntsman, the Lord High Mayor, and the World War II Soldier. This is a nonfiction book, and I facilitated it for MrMatch.com. It's the session of the gentleman who woke me up spiritually.
I love that. Okay.
And it's his sessions, but he had not been able to release pain. He had broken his neck. And he didn't know how to connect with his higher self and guides. So it was a big deal. And we learned how to forgive one another, was what got accomplished through his session. So that was life-changing for both of us. And the second book, The Flow One, Plymouth Plantation. So here we are, colonial America, as I mentioned. I wrote it as historic fiction because that's the way the information kind of flowed and came to me. But it's based on my past life as Anne Warren Little, who had some very, very interesting experiences at Plymouth. She went there as a 12-year-old girl and lived her whole life there until she died in her 60s very suddenly during King Philip's War. And that was part of what led to her becoming a ghost, because that hallmark of this very sudden, unanticipated death and just feeling like, oh, I'm not done. Oh my goodness, I'm not done. I don't understand what's happening. That confusion is kind of the hallmark of what can lead to ghosting. Plus the fact that she hadn't forgiven the man who she thought was saying that he was going to marry her. Which is that same soulmate that I met via Match. So it just, until we get the lessons and until we forgive and just let go, we're going to keep meeting again, because there's still energy to release.
Oh, that's the thing. We got to keep relearning the lesson until we've learned the lesson.
Right. The deeper levels come up. We're just all like these beautiful onions, and you just keep peeling the layers.
Right. And, while you just brought up the book 1 and book 2, what offers do you have for them right now? The Flow?
Yes, the Flow One Plymouth Plantation. That's going to be available this Saturday and Sunday, Mother's Day weekend. You can go to Amazon and get it for just $1.99 on Kindle, May 7th and May 8th. So grab your copy there. It is also available in paper book, and it's also available in audiobook, as AJ mentioned.
The audiobook is good. I really enjoyed I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and sometimes I can't get through them. I just can't. I'm bored out of my mind. But I wanted more when yours was done. You did such a fantastic job. I know.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And guess what? It's a prequel. It sets up the stage for a trilogy that's coming after that. So there was a fictional trilogy that's going to come.
Yeah.
And then I kind of move backwards and forwards of where there's more energy. And Regression Healing is the nonfiction series. So there's the 2 series of the nonfiction and the fiction.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so good. I haven't finished the 3rd one yet. I started it, but it's really hard for me to read on my computer. So I've had to take a lot of breaks.
And it's a big book.
It's there's a lot. It's a lot bigger than the other ones.
It is.
I can see why it took you so long. And then for your raffle, you have a raffle for the Regression Healing 1.
Yes. So I am so happy to provide. So you can enter the raffle. I'm going to be giving away 2 copies of Regression Healing 1, and simply in audiobook format. And simply go to my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com, and you'll see the contact me form there. And you're able, just mention AJ Soul Wanderings and that you'd like to be in the raffle to get the audiobook copy of the book.
Oh, that's
and I'll be drawing for those copies and get them to you via email.
Thank you. You're so generous.
That'll be fun. I love doing that.
I love giving away stuff too. In fact, it's been a hot minute since I have, probably like 5 episodes. So maybe next week. I do have a new product coming out. So yeah, thanks for the reminder. Let's give some gifts away. That's good energy. So thank you. The raffle sounds amazing. And the $1.99 Kindle version of Plymouth Plantation is a steal. So now moving on to your most recent creation, Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn. Tell us all about this one.
So what happened with this? I had experiences for about a year or so that I frankly did not want to deal with. And I kept seeing scenes of Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. And I was thinking, well, they're a big part of pop culture. They were very well-known people, particularly back in their day in the 40s and 50s and early 60s, etc. And I just, frankly, I didn't want to deal with it because I kept having more and more pieces of the puzzle fall into place that seemed to indicate I had memories as Joe DiMaggio. So again, I'm like, no, that's an ego trick, Wendy. That can't be real. That's just, some odd pop culture thing. But it just would not stop. It just kept coming up. And I was working with a spiritual teacher at the time, and she finally called me out via text of all things, and simply sent me a text and said, "Joe wants to speak with you." And I was like, oh.
Did she know you were having those experiences beforehand?
She's very psychic. We had not really talked about it directly, but she was an important part of validating it for me, because I hadn't gone to her and said, is this possible? Because that would have obviously influenced her if I'd been asking the question. So I get this text, "Joe wants to speak with you." So now I'm kind of like a kid, like, oh, I have to go to the principal's office. But I knew what it meant. So I went and meditated, and I was able to connect very easily with Joe DiMaggio, who, with his soul, with his spirit, who passed on in 1999. And he said, "Wendy," this is a poor expression, but I'll just say it kind of like the way it came to me at the time, was he's like, "Man up, girl. You need to step to the plate. It's time. It's time to start doing your work. You've had all these experiences. You've had all these memories. I've been showing you. Marilyn's been talking to you. Marilyn's been showing you. And you've had these experiences back to when you were a child." Because I remembered, I was born in 1961, and I remembered Joe DiMaggio as the spokesperson, as a spokesman for Mr. Coffee. He was Mr. Coffee for 20 plus years. But I wasn't just watching those commercials in the normal way of like a kid who like, well, why would I watch this? I don't drink coffee. I was watching them, and I was like, and I would think, oh, that was a good camera angle. Oh, that was a good, clear message. Oh, I did a good job with that one. And then I'd catch myself and go, what? I did a good job with that one? What does that mean? So I remembered having those memories as a kid, because he was no longer playing. I wasn't old enough to have ever actually seen him play baseball. So for me, it was the Mr. Coffee commercials. And of course, he'd be there as a spokesman for certain, charities. I mean, he was still in the public eye because he had been so famous. And that was a big part of why I blocked it. I'm like, there is no way.
I could see why you would. Yeah.
It's like, nope. I don't want anything to do with this, because I do not want to deal with coming out and saying, I believe I lived a past life as Joe DiMaggio. And I completely understand why many people will not believe that, say that's nonsense. I'm fine with that. I completely get it. I also believe timelines repeat, and that, more than one person can play that role. So there's going to be some differences in the experiences. I believe many different souls have been Marilyn Monroe at different times. I think that play run has repeated many, many, many times. So what I did after I had that conversation with Joe, after my teacher called me out and said, Joe wants to talk with you, I contacted her and said, okay, I've got it straight now. I know who I was in that timeline, and I know I'm being encouraged to step to the plate. So, and she texted me right back. She said, you've got it. You know who you were, and I'm going to be here to support you, whatever you decide to do with it, whether that's just you keep it between the two of us or whatever you feel is right to do. So what I did next was I thought I need to do a past life regression regarding this, because that's the way I can access my deepest truth. Yeah. Past life regression works really, really well for me as the client. So I contacted a friend who I didn't think was very knowledgeable about sports at all. And she was an amazing QHHT, quantum healing hypnotherapy therapist, had trained with Dolores Cannon. And I wrote my list of questions for her, but I was pretty subtle because, again, I didn't want to influence her either because Joe DiMaggio is so well known. So the only question I wrote was, did I ever have a life as a professional athlete? Is there any energy to release around that? And boom, right from the beginning of the session, I went back to Joe's childhood.
Wow.
And I was so there. I landed as this little skinny, knobby-kneed little boy that was 9 years old. And he was playing stickball with the neighborhood kids. And he was describing being on this sand lot. And I'm Canadian. I didn't know what a sandlot was. That's just not a word. That's just not a term we use. I had to look it up after the session. I'm like, what's a sandlot? And I described how we would use flour sacks and put dirt or sand in them to make bases because we didn't have proper equipment. We were just kind of like rounding up, but the detail, and I just was so there. Like some of the questions she asked me when she was trying to figure out what age I was. And she said, well, are you wearing a watch or any jewelry? And I'm like, no, I'm a kid. And I was just kind of like laughing at her. And she's like, oh, okay, you're younger than I thought. How old are you? And I'm like, I'm 9. And, I was just so there. So she led me through the whole lifetime. And I cannot tell you how painful it was to go through the memories of the first divorce, of World War II coming and him volunteering, my volunteering to be in World War II. I cannot tell you how vivid it all was. And there were a lot of tears shed during that first session with my friend Angie. And then when we went through the relationship with Marilyn and the short marriage and just how badly I felt that the marriage was so short, and the box that I'd tried to put Marilyn in of being like, I thought she should be the little Italian wife because I just didn't have another model. And I just didn't know how to reconcile. That woman was born to be on the stage. She was born to sing and dance and be a comedian and to be a dramatic actress. She had such special energy, and that little girl voice that was not put on at all. She just had this vulnerability and this innocence to her, this just really magical energy. So to then go through her death, It was hard. It was really, really hard. But I was still blaming myself for it in a very, very large way, and just wishing I could have protected her and prevented it. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of blame. There was a lot of self-blame there from the failed marriage with her, as well as her death. I mean, you can hear that there's still energy to release there. But I was so grateful I did the session, and there was no question. There just was no question after completing it. When we finished up and wrapped up, there just was no question. So that's what happened in that first session.
That's a lot. That's a lot to take in. When you go through sessions like that, do you ever like hop onto Google and fact check? Or do you just trust that the information
me as a client, when I've had a session?
Yeah, like in those
Do I fact checked afterwards? It's so funny you bring that up, because my higher self said, you know what she's going to want to do, because this is such a famous individual, two famous individuals. She's going to want to jump right on Google and fact check. Literally, my higher self warned me of that and said, you need to release it, because some of the facts that are shared publicly, they may not match perfectly. And also memory serves us to the best of our ability, but memory is an imperfect mechanism. So if I got something a little bit wrong about describing how the house looked like that he grew up in, I was describing it as a 9-year-old boy. Well, guess what? It looks a lot bigger when you're 9 years old than it was in actuality. So, some little things like that. But honestly, I don't think those small details really matter. It's about the emotion. And the fact that I was able to release and physically heal, because I also learned during the session that I was carrying some physical energies, physical problems that I did not need to be carrying, that were from Joe's baseball career. I do not need those in my life as Wendy Rose Williams, but we lived a parallel life for almost 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's a past parallel life. So some of those injuries were there, particularly to my right foot. And I've had to have 2 surgeries on my right foot. And when I went in for the first one, the podiatrist was like, what did you do to this foot? Did you just do something in a sport? Did you do something very different with your right foot than your left foot? Because he said, this is like a massive sports injury. And I'm looking at him going, I'm like the least athletic person on the face of the earth. It's not a sports injury. So, and then my guides had me Google afterwards, and they said, look for specifically a photograph of Joe's batting stance. And I'm like, look for what? Okay, look for a picture of Joe at bat. And I saw it immediately. I had this immensely big batting stance of left foot way ahead of the right foot. And the right toes were dug into the ground because, we're ready to like power hit and then take off running. So I ended up with 2 dislocated toes on my right foot.
Wow.
I didn't do anything to my foot. And I end up at the podiatrist. He's like, Wendy, what did you do? I'm like, nothing. They've been feeling weird. My shoes haven't been fitting. I could see that the toes were raising up and they're like rubbing in my shoes. I'm like having to wear like sneakers or clogs and like thick socks because this is so uncomfortable. He's like, well, they're both dislocated. There it was in the batting stance. So that was part of my validation.
It is so crazy when you.
It is so crazy. Yeah. But to be told by my guides to go look for that picture, and they said, this is going to help you accept you really do have a past life as Joe DiMaggio. There it is. So, and there also was some back and hip pain. Again, baseball players get worked really, really hard. It's a long season. And he was a supreme athlete. And there was also some elbow stuff. So there were multiple things that I was having go on in my body that were only useful for the point of validating, oh my gosh, it looks like I played pro ball. And now we can let go of this because this pain does not serve me. This dysfunction does not serve me. So I did release that during various past life regressions because I had multiple multiple past life regressions that went back to that lifetime. And new information came up every time. It's new energy releases. So, because people sometimes say to me, "Oh my goodness, why would a client, have 12 sessions with you over a year? Why would they do a monthly session?" Well, it's like our higher self and guides. They're so brilliant with what they help show us. It's like they put a pin in it and just like hold the energy, and it's like the movie starts playing again, or like you're further in the book, because you're further in your book of life when you do like the next session. Nothing's forgotten or lost, but new information keeps coming up.
Wow. I have a question. So just having the awareness that a specific event took place in one of your past lives, does it, just having that awareness, shift the experience immediately in this current life?
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head. It's called the lifetime of origin. And that was illustrated very well in Regression Healing 1, because my soulmate boyfriend, he couldn't figure out how to release all this pain. And yes, you can say, well, he was a professional athlete this lifetime, which he was, and he'd broken his neck. Sure, you'd be having lots of pain, but it actually went back to a lifetime of origin. And for him, we found 2 lifetimes of origin where he had been hurt. He'd been egregiously harmed, tortured, and there was the neck pain, but he had not forgiven the parties involved. So that lack of forgiveness, that rigidity, that stubbornness, that it's hard to forgive when you've been through experiences like that. But let's realize, as I said, we've all been saints and sinners. We've all been on both sides of it. We've all been burned as witches, and we have all thrown the match or the torch. So let's just be kind to one another and just know,
amen to that.
We've all had these experiences. So let's not judge. It's not our role to judge.
Right. That was one of my favorite quotes. I don't remember which book it was in, but you've said it a couple of times. We have all been saints and sinners. You also said that the ghosts in your closet could be you. Those always stayed with me. When I read those or heard those in your book, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know why they were so profound to me, but it was every time that I find myself in a situation where I am maybe being judgmental, it pops into my head as a reminder, like, hey, come on now. Like, why are you doing this?
Being judgmental of yourself, AJ?
Myself and others.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we are definitely our own harshest critic. That's been shown again and again, those life reviews. And people can really worry about going before the Council of Elders or meeting with guides to get that life review and to debrief. Mm-hmm. And I am here to tell you, having both gone through those many times myself, as well as facilitating them for people, just take a big breath and try and keep your sense of humor, because those wise, beautiful beings, they only want to help you. They love you so much. And even if they're going to tell you things that are hard to hear or see or experience again in retrospect, it's to help uplift you. It's to help teach you and to help you let it go.
Right. Their love is unconditional.
Exactly.
Not one judgment whatsoever.
No, it's
Us
not.
end up judging ourselves in the end.
Yes, yes. It's been shown too, companies that do 360 performance evaluations, be careful, be kind to yourself on the self-evaluation portion, and just really be your own best friend. And if you hear that negative self-talk at all, just picture yourself at the computer keyboard and go stop, cancel, clear, delete.
Yes.
Take a breath.
Yes.
And just how would your best friend speak to you? And
Right.
that's the voice you need to have in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
because
It's such a good lesson too. And I love this message can never be repeated enough because we are so hard on ourselves. I am guilty of it. And in fact, this last year, like I've put my foot down with myself and I'm like, no more. Enough is
Right.
enough. And
Right.
I've been doing human design with a regular guest and a good friend of mine, Natalie Peace.
Oh, fantastic. I love HD.
Yes, it's so fascinating. And she talks about the non-self.
Mhm.
And so I understand the dialogue that's going on between me and my non-self. And I've been working on quieting that voice, the non-self voice. I even gave him a name. And when that chatter starts happening, knock it off.
That
Knock
negative
it off.
self-talk,
Right.
that
Because it's so
unbalanced
unnecessary.
ego.
And, everything plays a role in it. Society, people, everything. And you
Well,
really said something amazing. Like we are the ones that judge ourselves.
Mhm.
Other people may be thinking or feeling something, but it's us. It's us judging us. And
Mhm.
be kinder to us because there's no way that we need to be treating ourselves as harsh as we do.
Correct. There's a famous model who said, I don't even look as good as me, meaning it's been airbrushed, it's got filters, it's got the perfect lighting and hours of hair and makeup and, perfect angles. I mean, think of what a fantastic natural model Marilyn Monroe was. She understood the camera and just loved the camera. And just photographed so beautifully, but she was very natural with it in a lot of ways too. Some of the pictures she's just barefoot in, and that sort of thing. It's not always the 6-inch heels. So I think just understanding that, just really loving ourselves, it's a big deal. It's so important. It helps lift up everyone.
Yeah. Has that been your biggest takeaway with writing this recent book?
The biggest takeaway for me was to let go of what other people think, because Wayne Dyer had a quote that was along the lines of, "What other people think of me is none of my business."
Right.
And it really isn't anything to do with you. Their opinion, their judgment, it's really a reflection of them.
Right.
And of
I
their
had this same
filter.
conversation today with an employee of mine.
Yeah, it's their filter, it's their judgment. So just trying to be kind and just letting it go, because it's healthy to get to that place where we don't want or need or expect the validation. It's just, we've got to know our own truth and speak our own truth the best way we know how.
Yeah.
So my ego came in and challenged me right after that amazing first session where I completely accepted, oh my goodness, it looks like I have been Joe DiMaggio, because all these details came forward. And as I said, the emotional releases and the physical healing. How else would you explain that? If I'm just making stuff up, how do you explain physical healings? That's the amazing part of past life regression therapy. It is therapy. But my ego niggled me because it was such a big life. So being a past life regressionist, I went right back in and found did another session. And what happened over time, because I did multiple sessions, and again, I didn't say to any of those therapists, I think I might have been Joe DiMaggio. I kept this undercover for 5+ years and went to different therapists because I thought, well, that first therapist knows.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's move on from the first one. I want to hear what else happened.
Well, what else happened was right when I was really doubting myself was this perfect client. Like you said, that serendipity of just those perfect connections and meetings come up. And this perfect client was referred to me by a spiritual teacher. And she said, I think this gal could really benefit from a past life regression with you. And that client has profound memories as Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
And I did not say to her, hey, guess what? I'm Joe DiMaggio, because that would have been totally, influencing. No,
Right.
no. So I zipped my lip and let her have her experience. And I didn't know what was going to bubble up for her. So I certainly did not lead her and say, now we're going to go back to the past life when you were Marilyn. I let her, her higher self and her guides took her where she needed the energy release. And it was as Marilyn Monroe. And I also realized, well, that's great. This appears to be a woman with memories as Marilyn. Doesn't mean we're in the same timeline.
Right.
Because again, timelines repeat. And
so crazy also.
Right. It gets into that whole quantum, everything's now. Everything's now. But I recognized her and I just zipped my lip because I was just crying at certain points during the session with her, which is not typical and not normal. But when she forgave Joe, when she forgave him for having hit her during their marriage, I cannot tell you how I was crying because I just so regretted that. Mm-hmm. And when she forgave me for it, when she forgave him, forgave me for it, it was powerful.
Yeah.
And she just did so much better also having let go of that. So it was a really big deal. So I think our guides must have been working so hard to get that exact Marilyn to this exact Joe, who is a hypnotherapist, and that she was referred to me for a session was amazing. And she actually ended up having 2 sessions over time. And I, in the meantime, was having more sessions myself as the client too. So that's why this unfolded over a period of 5 years.
There are no accidents.
There really aren't. I don't believe in the word coincidence. Coincidence really isn't in my vocabulary anymore. I believe in synchronicities.
Yeah.
I believe in signs. But I really don't. Coincidence, it feels too random for me. Mm-hmm. That's just a coincidence. I feel that's kind of a way of saying, well, that's meaningless. And I don't feel these things coming together are meaningless.
It's like shooing it away. Like it has no relevance.
Right.
Yeah. These stories are so cool. Like, I just want to keep listening to all of them. How after writing this book and you came to the completion of the final chapter, the very last page, how did your life change from the beginning to the end because of this particular work?
So much physical and emotional healing, because what Joe did after Marilyn died, she actually died on the day that was to be their second wedding. They had agreed to marry again. And for him to instead be burying her on that day, there was so much to release around that.
Wow.
And he also he never remarried. He lived for 40 years after she passed. So she was younger than him, and he lived a good long life into his mid 80s, and she died in her mid 30s. So he outlived her by a long time period, but he never had another romance, because the way he put it was, well, I can't top her. That no one holds a candle to her. And when she was taken from me, that was it. I was done. I was just done. So he became, in some ways, very reclusive, and just having been so in the public eye, and her having been so well known. When you compound that together between the two of them, and everyone wanted to pump him for information about Marilyn, he just wouldn't talk about her.
He had a lot of controversy around her death and what truly occurred.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure it was just a mess for him at that time.
Absolutely. There's a new documentary that just came out on Netflix this week about what, it's one investigative journalist look at what might have happened. And he has a lot of hidden tapes that had not been heard before and had not been released publicly. And I have to admit, I was just bawling. It was hearing Marilyn's voice that did it for me, because it was, her actual voice. And I just found that really, really moving to hear her again like that, in that, very unfiltered way. Yes, it's just a big story. I'm going through the final formatting. I'll be getting it back to, I'm working with a proof copy right now. And I'll be getting it back to the formatter, and then it will be up on Amazon, and I'll be announcing that.
I can't help but notice how emotional you still are when you talk about the love for Marilyn and the grieving that has occurred since.
Yes. So Joe, having then not having another romantic partner by choice, because that was right for them, I realized that was one of the big emotional healings for me, was to realize I've been divorced for many, many, many years. And I realized, and it came through in the past life regression sessions, and several other healers have said to me, do you realize you're still punishing yourself at some level? So you need to let that go, so you can attract that new healthy relationship and enjoy a new relationship, because that was then. And this is now. And we can release even that sort of a big old bolus of energy of two of the most well-known figures of the 20th century. And like I said, you can see why I went, nope, when it first started coming through.
Yep. You knew it was going to be big, and
I knew it was going to be big. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see how you would feel that way. I still, here I go with fascinating again, but that's the best way I can describe it. Like how we are all so interconnected with one another, and multidimensionally at that. It's just mind-blowing what can occur in these spaces.
Yes, because for me to meet, and the young woman who was the Marilyn that I knew when I was Joe, she lives in Europe. So those chances were pretty slim. So as I said, I just so appreciate the guides and the spiritual teacher and the referral that came to me, and everyone that connected us, for us both to receive that healing and that uplift, because I really feel it changed both our lives in very positive ways. It's also positively impacted my life with my youngest daughter. although that has not completely played out yet, because she was my son, Joe. When I was Joe DiMaggio, she was my son, Joe. And Joe DiMaggio's son became estranged from his father. He just could not handle the fame, and sadly was estranged at the time of his father's death. So he was estranged for decades. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, is estranged in this lifetime now. So I've been working to do what I can do to heal that old energy for both of us. And then she'll have to make her choice. Does her higher self accept that information and willing to say, that was then, this is now.
Incredible.
We don't need to be estranged now.
Right. That's incredible. Absolutely. Does your client who was Marilyn in a past life know of your experience with Joe now that you have gone through those experiences with her?
She knows part of it. She's rightly very busy and focusing on her present life. So we're not in touch at this point because we don't need to be,
right?
Because we went through the process and spoke together for, it was a couple of years, and spoke together. And I sent her this fun little gift and mailed it from Seattle over to her in Europe. Because of synchronicities again, I just tripped over this darling little white wooden plaque that said Hollywood. And it just looked perfect for her. So I mailed that to her.
Oh, how neat.
I just needed to give a little gift needed to exchange somehow to just that forgiveness piece to just let go.
Yeah, I can see how that would help both of you. And gifts. There we go with the gifts again. You have had over 100 past life experiences easily. And in the episode you shared with us, your favorite one, have you had any other experiences since then that are new? So in the last year, like, have you had more besides
more past lives? Oh, yeah. They present regularly. My joke is I'm waiting. Was that the question? Did I understand?
Yeah,
you,
you're still having them?
Oh, absolutely. I'm waiting for the guy who bags my groceries to tell me about it. It's just, I get them via dreams, via meditation, spontaneous recall. I'll get triggered by something on television or that I read. But I also do sessions regularly, me as the client, with this lovely, amazing woman who's an angelic healer, an angel healer. And a lot more of them have come up that way that I knew bits and pieces of, but I just just wasn't ready to do it on my own. I literally just had one of those come up last week. And just in brief summary, I've always had this weird thing. I like to cook. So I'm in the kitchen, very careful with knives. You've got the sharp knives. You're doing lots of, vegetable prep and cutting up fruit and, cooking, making homemade soups and different things. But I also just, something about knives didn't feel safe or good to me. And I would feel almost like a stabbing motion. And I'm like, what is that? That is weird. Mm-hmm. And that had really been bubbling up in the last few weeks. So I was being especially careful with knives. My youngest daughter, that same daughter who was Joe's son, Joe, has been deathly afraid of knives her entire life. It's a phobia. She has to cook really carefully because so afraid of knives. And what came up as I did this session with the angel healer, with Anne, was we went back to a past life, a little bit similar to Plymouth, where I just was gung-ho, so in love with a man. I was pregnant, 19. It's in Spain, late 1700s. Guess what? he chooses another woman and does not marry me. I have no options. I have no way to support myself. I have no way to earn a living. I'm turned out by my parents. I'm shamed. I am disgraced. I kill myself with a knife. So that was that weird stabbing I was feeling. I was pregnant with my youngest daughter.
Oh.
Now, my present day daughter. So I just burst into tears when we were doing this healing. So I'm like, this all makes sense now. I completely understand this now. And I just apologized to her higher self. I asked her guides during the session, would they please convey that to her? And they said, oh, she's here. She feels your love. She knows you're apologizing. We can let that go. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you how easy it is to cook. I have no issue with knives anymore, and I'll be delighted to hear from her when we're talking again. I'll be delighted to hear from her that she has no more fear of knives, because I believe that energy, that healing would have passed on to her too, based on what the angels were saying during that angelic healing. So, sometimes they're gnarly and we just need help with them. But boy, they make things better when we can understand these things that just seem weird and troubling and like fears and phobias. They're there for a reason. There's energy to release.
Right. Okay. So I was going to ask you about that. So currently, if you have, or in your lifetime that you are experiencing fears, phobias, pains, chronic issues, whatever that is, are they, in your opinion, always directly related to a past life experience?
They might be from this lifetime.
Okay.
They could be from this lifetime, because let's take an example of someone who's always nervous around dogs. They just do not like dogs. They're very afraid of dogs, but they don't have any idea why. Well, they may have had something scary happen when they were 2 years old. Mm-hmm. They don't remember. And, they're out in their stroller and mom or dad is walking them and they go by, a fence and the dog just, barks and is like jumping against the fence. And now they've got a phobia of dogs from what happened when they were a tiny child in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. Typically what happens is if it's that past life energy, if it hasn't been released, it keeps coming up again. And the reason it bubbles up again, you're triggered and feeling it and feeling upset and, whatever the emotions are, it's that opportunity to heal it. But if you can't figure it out, then we may not get the release. So that's why it can just compound over multiple lifetimes. Other fears and phobias are directly from a past life. Often it's something about drowning, or people who are really sensitive about their neck. They can't wear turtlenecks. They can't wear a choker. They just can't stand anything around their neck. Well, they've typically been beheaded or hung. And I know that sounds gnarly and awful, but we're not re-traumatizing when we find it. We're letting it go. We're finding that energy and realizing what happened and just making peace with it all. Forgiving the people involved, forgiving ourselves if necessary, because you may have been hanged because you robbed an awful lot of stagecoaches.
Right. There may have been a reason why.
Yeah, exactly. You
were the sinner.
Right. We're not always this, innocent victim or bystander. You may have been out there doing some things.
Right. It makes me sad though when I think that I could have been that person, or I was that person in another life, because it's so much in contrast to who I am now, right?
Yes.
And you think about, wow, I really played that role in someone else's life at some point.
That's okay.
It puts you in a different place of perspective.
I know it's hard, but realize you were playing a role
Right.
And believe it or not, you may have agreed to play that role. For instance, MrMatch.com, who he was the only person I was shown there were like 18 different soulmates who were asked, will you do this contract with Wendy? The only way we can get her to step fully into her power without abusing it and clean up that karma and clean up her karma from being a heartbreaker herself is to do this contract where you're going to break her heart repeatedly. And like no one wanted to take that contract with me because that's a pretty rough contract to realize you're going to do that to someone you love. You're going to purposefully break their heart repeatedly because it's got a good reason to stand in my power fully without abusing it. He was the only person willing to take that contract. He's not in my primary soul group. He's in a secondary soul group, adjacent soul group. But I really appreciate he was willing to be that bad guy for me because I needed it. And it was such a breakthrough for me.
Yeah. And you bringing this up reminds me, I've shared it several times, but that belief has been one of the biggest lessons for me on forgiveness in this lifetime. Like understanding and having that knowledge being very true for me. It's like the Little Soul in the Sun book. I don't know if you've read
I've
that.
not read that.
It's actually a children's book, but it's profound.
Okay.
And it talks about how your someone from your soul family would show up in this way, and they loved you so much that they agree to be the bad guy in your experience now.
Right.
And
Right.
it was a really big lesson for me when I was working on some trauma healing and the forgiveness that occurred with that, so I can move forward in my healing, is to look at these people who had hurt me, and forgive them for what they had done. And after people hear my story, they think, how could you forgive someone who did that to you? And where I'm at now, I feel, how could I not?
How could you not? And it's what's best for you. And that's how you heal. When we forgive others, we set ourselves free. And it's also a gift to them, but they don't even need to know about it. You might not be in contact anymore. They might have passed on. It doesn't matter. But just being in that habit of just easily forgiving, it's a big deal. So that was surprising to me in the first book, in Regression Healing 1, when my former boyfriend found out who the perpetrators had been that had harmed him and were causing all this pain because he hadn't forgiven them. He just like immediately went into it, and he's like, oh my goodness, this was so long ago. I've probably done that to them and more. So he just had that really forgiving heart and spirit. And his pain, I'd asked him what his pain was on a typical daily basis when we started the session. And he said, it's as high as an 8 on a scale of 0 to 10. It's a big deal for me to be not having to take pain relievers, but I don't want to because I know they just mask it. And I want to get to what's really the origin of this. So he was so smart to know that. And at the end of the session, after 4.5 hours, I said, what is your pain like now? How are you comfortable? How are you feeling? And he's like, oh my gosh, I can turn my neck so much more. My back and shoulders, it's so much better. He said, it's down to like a 3.
Wow.
And that changes your life when you get that sort of a physical and emotional healing too.
Yes,
to not be angry and blaming those perpetrators, because one of those perpetrators is his mother in this lifetime. And look at how that changes your relationship. If you're a man and you've had that happen with your mother and that's subconsciously bubbling, my mother tortured me, how do you think that's going to affect your relationships with women?
Exactly.
So that freed him up in so many ways. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Unbelievably. I just looked at the time. I was hoping we still had longer. Where did the time go? We're at the end of the show. We just have a few more minutes. And, Wendy, as always, I could just continue talking to you and hearing all of the stories. They're just so amazing to me. And I'm so thankful that you have the courage to share with all of us, especially the most recent production that you're putting out, because like you shared, your ego can get in the way and people can have all sorts of judgments in regards to what you're sharing, yet you know your truth and you're willing
You
to put
have
it
to know
out there.
your own truth. And those famous or infamous historic and biblical past life possibilities, those potentialities, those need special support. So
Right.
anyone who thinks they might be experiencing one of those, highly recommend, please reach out to me. Happy to help you walk through that, because there's about a dozen possibilities of what can be going on. And
Right.
I'm very familiar with these from working with other clients as well as my own experience. And please join me Saturday, June 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll be offering a free 30-minute workshop on Zoom. I'm putting that together. And you'll be able to sign up via my website. So you can send a contact me now saying you're interested in that. What we'll be doing is helping you connect with your spirit guides.
Oh, I
So
love
let's get you that unconditional support and that love and get that help in for you.
that is so awesome. I really think that's great that you're doing that and offering it for free. That means all of you, no excuses. All it takes is 30 minutes of your time to join Wendy for
Let's
another
get you
30
connected.
minutes. Yes. And who doesn't want to connect with their angel guides?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And it might be your own higher self. Some people find that their guide in this lifetime is actually their own higher self. And that's very cool too. So it's however that presents for you. And you might already be connected with your guide, but you can get more information and work together and get validation of it. So it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It is exciting when you get those connections and the validation of the things that you've been feeling or dreaming about. Wendy, once again, thank you so much for being here with us. I wish we had more time, but we'll have to have you back again. You're just such a joy and pleasure to be with. And I'm just happy that you reached out. Thank you.
Well, likewise, AJ, thank you for just providing this wonderful forum and for sharing your experiences and us just being able to compare and contrast some of that. And I'm sure our listeners are able to relate to your experiences. So again, such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And please visit the website. You can request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment with me there from the website too.
Ooh, so good. You guys don't miss out on that. WendyRoseWilliams.com. And I'm going to have to wrap. We'll see you guys all next week. Until then, be kind to yourself and to each other. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.